8b. So we'll say, so we are picking up with Amr Rabbi Yehuda. So we'll say 3 lines are from the bottom, Chav Chesam base 28b. Amr Rabbi Yehuda, Zibura. We'll say Zibura is a bee sting. V'decharze silu. If somebody gets scratched by a thorn on a thorn bush, or simta is a blister, udikayev le'ena, or someone who has a very bad pain in his eye. Va'asi iluya ashisa. And I will say, ultimately, again, as a result, a person gets a fever from this. So, kulu beibani sakanta, or vasi ali ishisa just means somebody who gets a fever. For all of these individuals, the Gemara says, kulu beibani sakanta. For all these people, bathing is a sakana. So apparently, again, bathing in hot water poses a sakana. Chama lechama, so some more remedies. Chama lechama, so radishes are good for fever. Basilka letzina, so beets are good if a person is suffering from chills. V'chilufa sakanta, but the opposite is dangerous. So to go ahead and eat beets when a person is suffering from chills, or to go ahead and eat radishes when a person, just the opposite. To eat radishes for chills and to eat beets for a fever could ultimately pose a sakana. So the Gemara says, chamimi la'akrava, so hot compresses are good for scorpion bites. Ukri lezibura, and a cold compress is good for bee bites, bee stings. V'chilufa sakanta, but the opposite ultimately can pose a sakana. Chamimi lesilu, a high warm compress is ultimately good. So Rashi says, so go ahead and use a warm compress for a thorn scratch. Vikariri, top of Chavtes Rabosai, Vikariri lechasbenisa. So ultimately, Rabosai chasbenisa, Rashi says, are stuck in shebifnei ha'adam, literally cracks in the skin, cracks in the face. Vichilufa sakanta, which sounds maybe bad acne. Vichilufa sakanta, and the opposite ultimately again will pose a sakana. Chala lisibure, so we'll say vinegar is good after a person goes ahead and does bloodletting. Umonini litanisa, small fish are good after a person has fasted. Vichilufa sakanta, but if you do the opposite, ultimately again it poses a sakana. Tichli visibura sakanta, so we'll say going ahead and eating cress, tachli is cress, sibura bloodletting, doing that together, ultimately is a sakana. Ishta visibura sakanta. We'll say if a person has a fever and doing bloodletting, ultimately again as a sakana. Kaiv eina visabure sakanta. If a person has eye issues, and a person does bloodletting, this is sakana. Sheni ledag dam. So we'll say take a look at Rashi just a moment. Sheni ledag dam. Achol biyom shlefnei hakaza dagim. So ultimately, and I will say that if a person went ahead, the way Rashi understands it over here, Sheni ledam dag. There's two things. There's Sheni ledag dam and Sheni ledam dag. So Rashi says over here, Sheni ledam dag, im hikes dam hayom, ochel dagim lemachar. If you go ahead and you bloodlet today, you could go ahead and eat fish the next day, but not on that day. And Sheni ledag dam, achel biyom shlifnei hakaza dagim. Ultimately, again, you could eat fish the day before as well. You just can't eat fish the day of. Shlishi lo sakanta. But apparently, again, to eat fish the third day after bloodletting could pose a sakana. Tan Rabbanan. Hamakis dam lo yochal chag bash. We'll say if a person engages in bloodletting, so he shouldn't eat chag bash. That's an imamic. Lo chalav, person shouldn't eat milk. Velo gvina, not cheese. Velo bitzalim, onions. Velo shachalim, not cress. Ava im achal amar. So we'll say what? Velo shachalim. Im achal. So we'll say, so what happens if a person did eat one of these items? So apparently these items pose a sakana. If a person goes ahead and eats it after bloodletting, let's say a person did eat it. So what do you do? Amar Abaye, neisi revi asad dechala or revi asad dechamra. You should bring a revius of vinegar, or a revius of wine, v'narvinhu bahadi hadadi, and go ahead and mix them together, vinishti, and drink them. It will say it's a very potent mixture that apparently has a drum. What is this? What will say? What essentially? What are you doing over here? See, what's interesting is you ate this item. You ate one of these chag bash items right after bloodletting. These items pose a sakana. So what's the goal? Essentially, you're eating now. The Gemara says take a laxative, because the goal of the laxative is it cleans it out of your system. So what's the Talmudic laxative? Apparently wine with vinegar mixed together, and you drink it, cleans out the system. When a person defecates, lo mefana ella lemizracha shalir, only defecate in the east of the city, mishum dekasha recha. Because Rabbi say ultimately, again, apparently, the waste that comes out as a result of this laxative has a very noxious odor. Therefore, go ahead and defecate to the east of the city where the wind will not carry the odor. Amar Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, Malin unkali b'Shabbos. So we go ahead, if you look at Rashi over here, Rashi says, no, not yet, sorry. Malin unkali b'Shabbos. The Gemara says, my unkali, what does that mean? Literally, we lift up unkali on Shabbos. What's unkali? Amar Rabbi Abba, istumcha deliba. So Rashi says over here, istumcha deliba is dofnei basar shetachas halev, the muscle which is underneath the heart. So the idea over here, Rashi says, lishnach rina tunuch shekeneged halev shekorin yivla upam shenifchach litzad pnim uma'akev haneshima. So whatever the Chazal are referring to as the muscle under the heart, they're talking about a person who's having difficulty breathing. So you're permitted to go ahead and manipulate the area of the chest underneath the heart so as to be able to go ahead and make breathing a little bit easier. Mayasu. So what is the remedy that they would do for someone? Ultimately for going ahead and, what would be the remedy for this? So the Gemara says, Maisi kamuna karuya. They would go ahead and take a ladle full of cumin, vinina, and mint, va'agdana. Rashi says over here, agdana is esev mar, some type of bitter herb. Vitzisri, so we'll say these are all different types of herbs or grasses, right? Va'avarata. And again, Rashi says azov, hyssop. So we go ahead and take all of these items together, mix them together. This would be the medicine apparently for relieving some of this pressure that would allow for easier breathing. Liliba, we'll say what happens if a person is having difficulty ultimately again with their heart. So the Gemara says bechamra. So we'll say if the issue was that a person felt pain in their heart, so they would take this mixture and they would mix it with wine. So you take all of these herbs that were mentioned, mix it with wine. V'simanach, we'll say now what we're going to see is all of these ingredients mentioned were mixed with different liquids depending on the particular ailment. So the Gemara says you take all of these items, the ladle full of cumin and the mint and the agdana, and the tzisri, and the hyssop, you mix them all together. And again, for a heart issue, you mix it with wine. How do you remember what to mix it when? So the Gemara says, "V'simanach v'yayin yisamach levav enosh." So the way the Gemara understands this is from the pasuk that wine will gladden the heart of man. So therefore, again, for a heart issue, you mix it with wine. L'ravcha, or l'rucha. So we'll say if a person has a problem breathing, so a person actually points out l'rucha, l'shachefesh shemach mas ruach yishta elamai. So we'll say if a person has a problem breathing, so what do you mix these herbs with? B'maya. You mix it with water. V'simanech, and the way to remember this is v'ruach elokim v'rachefesh al pnei hamayim. So we'll say ruach, which literally means again the spirit, but we're translating over to here as breath, is hovering over the water. So for breathing problems, you mix these items with water. Lekuda b'shikra. Rashi says over here is lekuda choli ishi yoledes umitztanenes ala mashper. This is for chills during labor. If a woman is having chills during labor, so what does she mix this with? B'shikra. This is an interesting one. She mixes it with beer. So apparently, again, she has a cold one, right in the middle in the middle of labor, and apparently, again, mix it together with these items, and that helps with chills during labor. Amazing. V'simanach v'kada al shechma. Rav Acha Brei Rava shachik lehu lekulu bahadi adadi. So we'll say Rav Acha, the way he would go ahead and take this remedy was as follows: he would grind up all of these things, all of these items together. And he would take a handful of this mixture and he would drink it. Rav Ashi would grind them up all individually. And he would take a pinch, literally he would take a pinch of each of them. Rav Papa said, listen, Ana Avdi l'chol hani. I tried all of these remedies, and it did not work for me. I was not healed from them. Until one time an Arab came over to me, and the Arab gave me the following remedy. I see kuzacharata. Bring for yourself a brand new small utensil. Actually, kuza is a small utensil. Kli katan. Bring a brand new utensil. Umalye maya. Fill it up with water. Virami be tarvada de duvsha. And put inside of it a spoonful of honey. Detali la be kuvi. And make sure the honey has sat out overnight outside underneath the stars. Ulamachar ishti. And tomorrow drink it. The next day drink it. Avdiachi. So Rav Papa said, I did it. Vistai, and Baruch Hashem, I was healed. Ten Rabbanim. So we'll say the Gemara now says, Shisha devarim mirapen esachola mechalyo, refuas and refuah. There are 6 things I will say which the Gemara says provides medicinal healing, provides refuah, and their refuah ultimately again is a lasting one. So not only is there a refuah, but ultimately again it's lasting. What are they? So the Gemara says, Ve'elohein, kruv, cabbage, tradin, beets, mesisin yevesha. So we'll say mesisin is also some type of plant, and you would go ahead and dry it out. Kibas. So we'll say kivas again. These are all different types of plants. So kivas, v'hares. We'll say heres literally means the womb of an animal. V'oseres hakaved. We'll say so. Oseres hakaved, interestingly enough, is normally translated as the diaphragm. That's the diaphragm of the animal. This is talking about different parts of the animal. Diaphragm of the animal. V'yish omrim af dogim kitanim. And others say small fish also. V'lo od. Ela shedogim kitanim mafrin umarbin kol gufo shel adam. But not only that, we'll say that ultimately, again, small fish have the ability to go ahead and provide incredible health. Tzvi, you got to use this. This is mamish, like this is free advertising here. So again, so what happens? Small fish, I will say, apparently not only heal, but small fish have the ability. Sushi, chas shalom sardines, sushi. Right. So the idea over here is that small fish go ahead and you will say not only heal, but apparently again have almost like a what's the right word? Like prophylactic or proactive health effect. They make a person proactively healthy. The Gemara says, Asar dvarim machzirin esachola lechalyo b'chalyo kasha. We'll say there are 10 foods or 10 items that if you eat them, so we'll say literally it means they return a person to a state of illness, and his illness becomes even more intense. So we'll say what this seems to be saying is as follows: there are 10 foods that if you are already health compromised, 10 foods that if you have already been ill, not only will they prevent your recovery, but they will plunge you back into the abyss of sickness, of illness, and the illness will become even more intense. What are those items? I'll say Eluhain. It's actually quite interesting. Ha'ochel basar shar shuman. They both said there's a machlokis in the Girsos over here if this is one thing or 2 things. So some read it as basar shar, kama shuman, ox meat and fatty meat. Others say that's what it refers to, basar shar shuman, which is fatty ox meat, which also is interesting because if you remember back to our Gittin days, whenever we spoke about remedies, so there were 2 things that Chazal seemed to feel cure everything, which is what? Strong wine and fatty meat, right? Which, I don't know if it cures your illness, but at least it makes you feel good for a little while. Right? So it's interesting over here, so that's why, again, many of the Shurim bring down that it's not, fatty meat in general is just fine. Apparently it's just the fatty meat from an ox that is difficult. But again, different girsos. So ochel basar shar shuman or basar tzli, roasted meat. So again, I both say here there's also machlokis. Is this the roasted meat of an ox, or is so just be aware that just different girsos. Basar tzipor, poultry. I will say I want to be clear. The Gemara is not saying these things are unhealthy. The Gemara is saying someone who is ill should not eat these items, because at the end of the day, these items have the ability to make a person sicker than they already are. Beitzat sluya, roasted egg, ushechalim, is cress, taglachas, hair cutting, merchat, so we'll see it's not just food items, so bathing, gvina, right, cheese, v'kavet, and liver, v'ish omrim af egozim, and others say nuts as well, v'ish omrim af kishuin, others say cucumbers as well. Why are cucumbers called kishuin? Because we'll say literally again, the name kishuin, cucumbers, comes from a lotion of kasha. Apparently, again, they were considered to be exceptionally unhealthy for a person. They were as detrimental as swords for a person. Remember again, we saw this discussion earlier on in the Masechta, actually just last week, where the Gemara made a distinction between large cucumbers, small cucumbers. It might be even a distinction between like cucumbers and pickles. Whatever it is, they're making a distinction between large cucumbers apparently were healthier, smaller cucumbers apparently were difficult for a person's health. Okay, good. So the Gemara goes back to now. We officially close out the remedy section. You could fill out the forms for your CME credits in Mirz Hashem, after this year. But I'll say, so this closes out. And again, I want to say again that Chazal obviously are echoing the remedies that were just contemporarily used. These are not uniquely Jewish. These, if you notice again, none of this stuff really revolves around Ruchnius. This is all just about how they understood the world, and ultimately, and by the way, it's quite possible that many of these remedies were tried and tested, that it worked, meaning they're using basic elements found in nature, and they're understanding the relationship in their diet, ultimately, again, to their health. Good. So now, terrible, so we go weiter.
Amen.
Time delay over there. So Gemara goes like, remember again, back to the Mishnah. So remember, the Mishnah says as follows: you can't take a haircut from an akum. So also remember again, we saw in the Mishnah, you can't go to an akum barber. You can't go to a Gentile barber. And we'll say that's wherever the barber is situated. It doesn't matter. Tan Rabbanan. Yisrael HaMistaber Me'ovi Kochav. And we'll say, remember again, what's the issue? The issue is a concern of bloodshed. The issue is that, remember, the Ovei Kochavim is giving me a haircut with a razor. Now, obviously, we'll say not on the area where it's prohibited to use a razor, but there are other areas of the face and the neck where one is permitted to go ahead and use a razor. But the idea is that part of haircutting was the use of a razor. To sit down in a chair with an akum who has a razor in his hand, Chazal felt was a very, very, very bad idea. And therefore, again, said, do not get a haircut from an akum. So also listen to this. If a Yisrael is going to get a haircut from an Oved Kochavim, he should make sure to look in a mirror. In other words, make sure to ask for a mirror. So this is actually very interesting. So apparently, we're going to expound this in just a moment, but apparently they used to get haircuts without mirrors. It just goes, so if you have to go to an akum for a haircut, make sure to ask for a mirror. We'll discuss why. And also if an Oved Kochavim is coming to a Yisrael for a haircut, Kevan Sheegia Libluriso, when the Yisrael is getting to the bluris. Also remember again, bluris was like the piece of hair on the back of the akum's head that the akum would grow long. It'd grow like a tail, like a long piece of hair on the back. We'll say the idea is that this ultimately was for Avoda Zara. So if the Yisrael is giving an akum a haircut, then what? Kevan Sheegia Libluriso, the Yisrael can't cut the bluris. He can't trim the bluris. Because we'll say, since the bluris ultimately is part of Avoda Zara, the Yisrael can't have anything to do with it. So what does he do? Shomet es yado. He could cut around the bluris, he could cut next to the bluris, but once he gets close to the bluris, he can't cut that area of the akum's head. We'll discuss how far. So the Gemara says, Amar Mar, let's analyze these two rulings. Amar Mar, Yisrael HaMistaper Me'ovei Kochavim Ro B'mareh Heichidami. So also, when you said before, the Brisa says, if I get a haircut from an akum, I have to use a mirror. So what's the case? If the akum is giving me a haircut in Rosh Hashanah, lama limara. So we'll say, remember again, if it's in Rosh Hashanah, we said that I should be able to go to an akum. Why? Why? Because since it's public, he's not going to kill me in public. So what do I need the mirror for? And furthermore, again, ibir shus hayochid kiroa mayhavi. And furthermore, again, if we're in private, I will say, then there's a real concern of bloodshed. If there's a concern of bloodshed, so mirror or no mirror, what does it make a difference? To which the Gemara says, Li olam b'shus hayochid. In reality, again, the licensor will say to get a haircut when using a mirror from the Oved Kochavim. I should say it differently. The license to get a haircut from an Oved Kochavim, as long as one is using a mirror, is in fact a license in the Rishus Hayochid. Why does the mirror make a difference? The Chayvan the Ikamare mischazi ka'adam chashuv. I will say this is so interesting. So apparently, it used to be that when you went for a haircut, you got your haircut, you trusted the barber. I will say why. Because the truth is, it didn't really matter so much. He took a little too much off, didn't take enough off, it was even, it wasn't even, whatever it is, it is. Only apparently, like contemporarily, an Adam Chashuv, somebody who was important, who had to look well groomed, would ask the barber for a mirror. So therefore what? If I'm getting a haircut from the Akum and I ask for a mirror, the Akum is going to say to himself that what? This person is an Adam Chashiv. If this person is an Adam Chashav, the Akum is not going to mess with me. He's not going to play games with me. He's not going to try to take my life because he doesn't want to get in trouble, and therefore he's not going to start up with me. Rav Chana bar Bizna, supposed to listen to this. First wide line, Chav Tes Amud Aleph. Rav Chana bar Bizna, have mistabrim over kochavim. B'shvili dinarda. Supposed to listen to this story. Rav Chana bar Bizna was getting a haircut from an Ovid Kochavim in one of the, B'shvili literally means like one of the streets of Narda. So this is in the middle of the haircut. So the Akum turns to Rav Chana and says, Chana Chana, Yoi Koech Lezuga. Chana Chana, my razor desires your neck. So some barbers ask you want a little more off the top, right? Other barbers, right? My razor desires your neck. So poor Rav Chana bar Bizna, I was like, can you imagine this? He's sitting in the chair, he hears this, and what does he say? Amar, Tisili. The truth is, I deserve this. The Avdi ad Rabbi Meir, the Avri ad Rabbi Meir. Because we'll say, I violated the statement of Rabbi Meir. Right? So remember again, in the Mishnah, Rabbi Meir said that one is not permitted to go ahead, and Rabbi Meir said, Rabbi Meir said, you're not allowed to get a haircut from an akum at all. At all. So Rav Chana bar Bizna said, I violated the words of Rabbi Meir. And therefore, again, I deserve this. Now, obviously, he was going to get out of there as quickly as he could. But Lamais, again, obviously, this is a sign. The point, we'll say, remember again, this is going back to Agana Hamuna, there's a sign in everything, there's a message in everything. Rabbi Bizna realized, you know what, I should have conducted myself like Rabbi Meir. I put myself in this situation, and therefore, again, this is the message. So we'll say, it's interesting that he said he violated the words of Rabbi Meir. The truth is, the Gemara says, he also violated the words of the Rabbanon. Remember again, what did the Rabbanon say in the Mishnah? The Rabbanon in the Mishnah said, Birshos harabim mutter avalo beino lebeino. The Rabbanon said, you can get a haircut from an akum as long as what? As long as what? It's a public setting. You can't go into his house, you shouldn't be alone with the akum, but as long as, we'll say again, this is why you could go for a haircut in a barber shop today. I don't have to go to, I don't have to ask for somebody's theological or religious credentials before I sit down in the chair, because the Maisi has Shusarabim. So the Gemara says, but 1 second, he also violated the words of the Rabbanon. Why? Emer dam Rabbanon birshus harabim birshus ayachid mi amar. So we'll say, remember again, even the Rabbanon say that you can only get a haircut from an akum in Rishus Harabim, but yet Rav Chana bar Bizna was in Rishus Hayachid. To which the Gemara says, 1 second. So how did he sit down and go for the haircut? I'll tell you how. V'hu savar shvili dinar da kevin the shlichi rabim kirshas harabim damu. So we'll say, if you notice again, where did he sit down? Shvili. And I will say, shvili literally means like the side streets of Narda. He thought that even the side streets had a din of rishus harabim. That's what he thought. So he thought at the end of the day, he was justified in accordance with the Shita of the Rabbanon for going ahead and going for a haircut. It turns out, Rabbi say, he was wrong. Shvili Rishus Harabim do not have the din of, or should say Shvili Narda do not have the din of Rishus Harabim, and therefore the truth is, he was in violation even of this halacha according to the Rabbanon. Therefore he received this message from the crazy statement from the barber, and I'm sure I got out of there as quickly as possible. So the Gemara goes weiter. So let's remember again, the Brisa that went on. The Brisa said that if a Yisrael is giving an Oved Kochavim a haircut, he can't cut the bluris, the kama. So we'll say, how far away from the bluris does the Yisrael have to stop cutting? So again, the bluris is the long piece that goes from the back. So how far away from the bluris is like the no-cut zone for the Yisrael? So it says the Gemara, Amra Malkiyo, Amra Vadabar Ava, Shlosha Etzbos L'chol Ruach. 3 finger breaths in every direction. So we'll say from three finger breaths already next to the bluris, which I will say, if you think about it, is like a significant area. Pretty much, you don't, meaning if you're a Yisrael barber and the bluris walks in there, the akum walks in there with the bluris, pretty much not cutting the back of his hair, right? With 3 finger breaths in every direction. Okay, so we'll say, now the Gemara just talks a little bit about attribution for just a moment. Amrav Chanina Breid Rav Ika Shipud Shfachos Vegumos Rav Malkiyo Bluris Efer Makle Ugevina Rav Malkiya. So we'll say the Gemara just points out over here we have 2 different Rabbanim. is Rav Malkio and Rav Malkio. So Rav Chanina braids Rav Ika says the case of shipud, which Rav Osai is the case of the shipud, literally means is a spit. This is the case of a spit that's used for roasting on Yom Tiv. Can you use it after the roast? Can you move it after the roasting is finished? Shvachos Rav Osai is the case of a wealthy woman who gets married and brings in maidservants. The shaila is, does she have any domestic responsibilities or not? Since she brings in a household staff, Gumos Rav Osai is the case of where there are pores, where technically shtei saros, pubic hairs, could have been, but there are no hairs there. Are those pores a sign of physical maturation? All of those cases are also paskin like Rav Malkio. In the case of bluris, which is the case that we just mentioned, and Ephraim Makla, which Rav Osai is the case ultimately again of applying. Rashi says Ephraim Makla is talking about over here the case of taking Ephraim Makla. Rav Osai literally means what's the right word? Not soot. Ashes. Thank you. Ashes. Applying ashes to a wound. We saw this in Makkas. We'll say certain types of ash worked to go ahead and treat certain wounds, but the problem was what? It left a mark. So the shaila is that soviskako? Is that considered to be like tattooing or not? So the case of Ephraim Makla and Gevina, the case of cheese, which was is going to be our next Mishnah, those are all we paskin like Rav Malkiya. Again, we're not going to get into these halachas right now. Amar Papa, the Papa says no, a little bit different. Masnisin umasnisa Rav Malkiya, Mishnayis and Braisos, those are Rav Malkiya. Shmaisisa, we'll say teachings of the Amoraim, Rav Malkiyo. This simana, and how do you remember this? Masnisa Malkisa. Ultimately, again, the Mishnah is the queen. So we'll say, so again, that's the Malkiya is more like Malka. So the Mishnah is like the Malka. What will be the difference in these two versions? So we'll say the difference between. So remember, everybody's just trying to figure out. Remember, we'll say, once upon a time, Tersha Balpeh was what? Was Balpeh. So these ideas of trying to remember who said what and these not mnemonics, but like these tricks were exceptionally important because that was what preserved the integrity of the Masorah. So again, you have two Rabbanim with very similar names and can easily mix up their rulings. So all they're trying to see is which ones are attributed to Ramalkio and which rulings are attributed to Ramalkia. So again, I will say we have two different memory tools. And the Gemara says there is an afkamina between the two, which is who gets the attribution or to whom is the ruling regarding shvachos. But the case of shvachos is the case of, we said before, even if a woman is wealthy and brings in a domestic staff, there is still a concept that a woman should have certain domestic responsibility. Why? Because we'll say the idea is too much free time. This is about a woman who's not working. So if a woman who's not working outside of the home and she's home and she has a domestic staff, so the idea ultimately, it was a good try to get me over there. Very good try. You're close. Right? But the idea ultimately is that if too much free time ultimately goes ahead and gets people into trouble. So depending on ultimately again how we go ahead and or which memory tool we use will determine the attribution for the case of shvachos. Fine. We'll say Amud Beis, Chav Tesma Beis, Mishnah. So we'll say now we're going to get into some really fascinating halacha. Elu Devarim Shalvei Kochavim Asurin V'Isurin Isranar. We'll say the following items are items that if you have them from an Oved Kochavim are asur, meaning you're not allowed to consume them. And not only that, not only is there a prohibition of consumption, but there's also an Isra Hana. You can't get any benefits from it. So we'll say, what are they? Hayayin, wine, and vinegar. We'll say, but vinegar of an Oved Kochavim, assuming that what? It came from wine that originally belonged to the Oved Kochavim. We'll say, what we'll see is that if an Oved Kochavim gets vinegar from a Jew and then sells it back to a Jew, that's not problematic. Again, we'll get into all of this. But Rabbi will say, what are we talking about over here? We're talking about yayin nesech. Yayin nesech. So I have wine from an idolater. We'll say that is, not only can I not drink it, I'm not permitted to get any benefit from it. Vinegar, that I will say came from wine owned by an akum. I can't eat it, I can't drink it, I can't consume it, and I cannot get any benefit from it. V'cheres hadraini, we'll say Hadrianic earthenware. Again, we'll discuss ultimately again what that was used for. Oros livuvin. We'll say it's very interesting. Look at Rashi. It's the first short line in Rashi. Oros livuvin sheklorin kineget halev. So we'll say, listen to this. This is an animal Rabosai where they would tear out the heart through an incision made in the hide. Right? So they would go and they'd cut the hide and they'd pull out the heart of the animal, Rashi says. Darkan lasos kein lavodos kochavim umotzian es halev derech hanekev umistra mishum zivchei mesim. So apparently some idolatrous practice, they would worship the Avoda Zara, is they wouldn't kill the animal. Instead what they would do is they would cut open the animal, cut by the heart, and they'd pull the heart out. This is Avoda Zara. So we'll say oros divuvin. So we'll say Reb Shimon Gamliel Omer bisman shaker shelo ogul. That's only Rabbi say if it's a circular incision by the heart. Aser. Mashuch, Rabbi say if it's not circular, but instead what? It's just a slit downwards, then ultimately again that will be mutter. Rabbi say again, we'll discuss why. Rashi says, or Rashi already says, Mashuch mutter. Rashi says, Shein osin ken lavodos kochavim. So we'll say apparently when it was done for Avoda Zara, it was a circular cut. If it's just a downward cut, that's not Avoda Zara. Unfortunately, that just might be, I don't know, might be cruelty to animals, whatever it is, but it's not Avoda Zara. So we'll say, so for our purposes, we'll say the nafkamina is what? Is the animal usher or not? If it's circular, it's Avoda Zara, the animal's usher. If it's just a cut straight down, then by definition, it's not Avoda Zara, therefore the animal's mutter. Basar, nichnas lavodos kochavim mutter. So this is actually very interesting. Ultimately, again, meat. Now, again, we'll discuss the parameters of this halacha, but meat that is being brought into an avodas kochavim, ultimately, again, is mutter. We'll say the idea is if you catch it on the way in, before it's gone into the base of avodah zara, it hasn't yet been used for avodah zara, therefore it won't be asr ba'ano. Vayod say asr. We'll say ultimately, again, once it's coming out of the place of avodah zara, it's going to be asr. Why? Because we'll say at that point in time, it's already considered to be as if it's part of idolatrous, as if it is an idolatrous offering, and therefore it is asr. Rabbi Akiva, haholchin litrufos asr loses imoin. So let's listen to this. So holchin litrufos. So we'll say if you look at Rashi, Rashi says litrufos litos avodos kochavim lemeirachok. We'll say what is this? Someone who is going for a pilgrimage to his avodah zara. So somebody who's going on a faraway journey to worship his avodah zara. Asr loses veloses imoin. We'll say when they're on their way to their avodah zara, you can't do business with them. Why? Because they will say, what's going to happen? If you do business with them, then when they get to their destination, what are they going to do? They're going to give thanks to their avodah zara for the newfound business. We'll say this goes back to the first Mishnah in the Masechta. But when they're returning back from their idolatrous pilgrimage, mutarin, you are permitted to engage in business with them. So we'll say, no dos of the kochavim mekan kenehem. So we'll say, if you have now no dos, Rashi points out over here, are shalor. These are wine skins that are made from leather. Kankein Rabosai means they're earthenware vessels. The yayin shel yisrael karnos ben Rabosai is an interesting case. What happens if you have kosher wine, Jewish wine, that is housed in akum wine skins or in akum earthenware barrels? So I'll say, what's the halacha? Asurin. Rabosai, the wine becomes asur. Not only that, the isuran isr hanav divrei Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir will say, not only is the wine asur for consumption, but the wine is even asr ba'ano. The Chum say no, ein isuran isra. The Chum say we agree that it is unfit for consumption, but what? It is not asr ba'avodah zara. Right? Correct. This is the sherry cask discussion, which Emir Hashem will get into. Right? They will say so again. So first of all, dramatic machlokes. Kosher wine housed in akum wineskins or akum barrels. So everyone will agree that it is asr for consumption. Rabbi Meir says even asr ba'ano. Chachamim say mutter ba'ano. Good. Hachartzonim ba'azayim shal kochavim. They will say chartzonim are grape skins. Zogin, I will say, are the grape seeds. Shal kochavim. So we'll say there's not the grape seeds and the grape skins that obviously are the leftover from wine that was made for an akum, for yayin nesach. So the Gemara says, asurin, even the grape skins and the grape seeds will be asur. The isuran isur hana. And Rabbi say not only is it asur for consumption, but what is an asur hana d'rever. Chum say, lochin asurin, the moist ones will be asur. Yeveshin mutarin. Ultimately, again, the dried ones will be mutar. We'll say again, we're going to expound on each of these items in the Gemara. Hamurias ugavinas beis unaiki shel ovdei kochavim. We'll say it's actually very interesting. Murias, Rashi says, is shemen shel dogim, fish oil, and gavinas beis onaiki. So what's like gavinas beis onaiki? Rashi says gavinas beis onaiki shema kfar. So we'll say apparently this is talking about, based on Nike, is a village. So cheese, Gentile cheese made in his village, that belongs to an akum, asurin ve'isurin israno. We'll say the cheese is aser, the murias is aser, and it's an israno. Div Rabbi Meir. The chum say no, ain isurin israno. It's aser for consumption, but the cheese is mutter ba'ano. I'm Rav Yehuda. Shor Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yoshua. Kishay mahalchim b'derech. So also listen to this. So Rav Yehuda says the following. One time Rabbi Shmuel asked Rabbi Yoshua when they were walking together, Amrulay, mipnei ma asru gavinos of de kochavim. Why is it that the cheese of an akum is asr? Why is it that gavinas akum is asr? Amrlo, both said which Rabbi Yoshua responded, mipnei shema'amidin osa bekeva shalevela. Why Rabbi say? Because they curdle the cheese literally in the stomach of an avela. Both remember again, the stomach, especially of a young animal, often again had curdled milk that we call rennet, right? And ultimately, again, that rennet is a cheese coagulant. So what would they often do? If you wanted to make cheese, you would take your milk and whatever else goes into cheese, you would put it in the stomach of, obviously, the shechted animal, and the rennet inside the stomach of the animal would cause the cheese to curdle. So because ultimately the Gentile cheese is made in the stomach of an avela, therefore, again, it's going to be aser. Amar lo. So Rabbi Shmuel says back to Rabbi Yoshua, I don't understand. But isn't the stomach of an ola more chamor than the stomach of an avela? We'll see what that means in just a moment. In other words, what you're telling me is what? What you're telling me is that the rennet inside the stomach of the nevela animal has the status of what? Has the status of nevela. Right, you tell me that the undigested milk or the digested milk in the stomach of the now dead animal, the nevela, has the status of nevela as well. But once again, I don't understand that. Because look at what happens with an ola. Boss, listen to this. Amru, what do we say about an ola? Now, boss, remember again, what happens with an ola, boss? What happens with an ola? Who eats an ola? No one. It's totally burnt on his back. Yet, what's the halacha? Listen to this. Amru, koin shedaito yafa. This is actually a very interesting verbiage. Koin shedaito yafa, boss, means what? If you have a very brave Kohen, if you have a very brave Shorfa or Shorfa Chaya, let's say if you have a very brave Kohen, what could he do? If a Kohen shechting the Ola and he's about to offer it up on the Zech, and what does he see? He finds some rennet, he finds some milk in the stomach of the Ola. If he wants to gulp that down, he has the right to do so. Again, so in this case it means brave. If he's a brave guy and he wants to gulp it down, he can do that. And I was saying, what do you see that? What do you see from that? What you see from that, I will say, is that the digested milk inside the stomach of the ola does what? Or I should say, does not have the status of ola. Because if it had the status of ola, I will say, then what? Then what? Then the coin would not be permitted to consume it. So you see from here that which is left undigested in the stomach of the animal does not have the status of the stomach of the animal. If that's the case, even if the akum is making his cheese in the stomach of an avela, it should still not be problematic. And we'll say ultimately again, the rabbis did not agree that a kohen is permitted to do this. However, aval amru einanin v'lo molim. So we'll say, so the rabbis disagree. The rabbis said a kohen should not do it. But, so they say a kohen shouldn't get hana. But they also agreed that if a kohen what? If a kohen did drink it, we'll say it's not me'ilah. So we'll say, what do you see from here? You see from here that anything that is found undigested in the stomach of the karban does not have carbonic status. Which I will say should really be the same, that if whatever you find in the stomach of an olah, in the stomach of an nevela, thank you, should also not have the status of nevela. Therefore, even if the akum is making his cheese with the undigested milk left over in the stomach of the nevela, the cheese should be permitted. Amar lo, you're right. The truth is, the real problem is that they're curdling their cheese, I will say, where? In the stomach of animals used for Avoda Zara. So we'll say, remember again, Avoda Zara is already had everything to do with Avoda Zara is going to be asr. Therefore, again, that's why cheeses are asr. Amar lo, im lama lo asr ba'ano. If that's the case, ultimately again, why are the cheeses only asr ba'achila? Cheese should also be, gvinas akum, should also be asr ba'ano. Because it also is being made with Avoda Zara. So let's do this, we'll say, hisiu lo davar acher. So we'll say, apparently, again, Rabbi Yoshua changed the subject. Now we'll discuss why Rabbi Yoshua changed the subject in the Gemara. Amar lo Yishmael, hey chata kores. It says, Yishmael, tell me, how do you read the pasuk? Is it ki tovim dodayich miyayin? Actually differently. Ki tovim dodecha miyayin? O ki tovim dodayich? Rabbi say, so remember again, this is pasuk from Shir Hashim. Ki tovim dodech miyayin means your love is more pleasant to me than wine. Is it dodecha or dodayich? What he's asking is it masculine or feminine? Amar lo, we'll see what the nature of this discussion is. Amar lo, ki tovim dodayich. Ultimately, it's dodayich. Amar lo, ina davar ken. He says, you're wrong. Shari chavero melamed alav. Because I will say the next pasuk ultimately teaches you. L'reach shmanecha tovim. I will say the next pasuk ultimately teaches me. L'reach shmanecha tovim, which I will say is phrased in the masculine, which tells you that the previous pasuk also has to be phrased in the masculine. So again, what the nature of this discussion is, in Meretz Hashem we'll discuss in the Gemara. So Yayin Minan, says the Gemara, from where do we know that wine of an akum is aser? Right? That I will say that Yayin Nesach, I shouldn't say Yayin Nesach, I will say. It's different. Right? Yayin Nesach, I will say, means wine actively used for idolatrous service. That we all know is aser. We're asking over here is that stam wine of an Oved Kochavim. How do I know that stam wine of an Oved Kochavim ultimately is going to be aser? B'shti, you can't drink it, and you also can't get hana from it. Amar Baravu Amar Kra, Asher. So we'll say the Gemara over quotes the pasuk from Dvarim. Asher chelev zevachimo yochelu yishtu yayin nisicham. So we'll say ultimately again because the pasuk compares their idolatrous offerings to their wine. Ma zevach asher ba'ana, just like the offering to Avoda Zara is asher ba'ana, af yayin nami asher ba'ana. So to wine of an akum is also asher ba'ana. Zevach gufei minol. And I will say, from where do we know that the offering of an Avoda Zara for Avoda Zara is asher ba'ana? So the Gemara says, Dichsev vayitzmedu leba'al pa'ar vayivchu zivchei mesim. Because also it says they became attached to Baal Pa'ar and they ate literally offerings of the dead, which also refers to offering to Baal Pa'ar. Ma meis asher ba'ana. Also just like a corpse is asher ba'ana. Af zevach nami asher ba'ana. So to an offering to Avoda Zara, also it's also asher ba'ana. Umeis kufei minolon. Also from where do we know that you can't get hana from a corpse? Asya sham egla rufa. There is shavat egla rufa. Also remember, egla rufa is the decapitated calf. When you find a dead body between two cities, the closest city brings the decapitated calf. Ksiv hacha v'atamas sham Miriam. It says Miriam died there. Ksiv hasam v'arfu sham esa egla b'nachal. Ma lahalon asr b'ana. Say just about egla rufa. It is asr b'ana. Afkan nami asr b'ana. So to buy a corpse, it is also asr b'ana. V'hasam b'nalon. We'll say, where do we know that an egla rufa is asr b'ana? Amri dibei Rabbi Yanai kaparak ksiv beka kachim. Ultimately, you're going to say use lashon of kapara by egla rufa, just like it does by kachim. Just like kachim is asher ba'ana, so too egla rufa is asher ba'ana as well. And I will say if we learn it all the way backwards, it teaches us that what? That ultimately, again, zivchei, that ultimately offerings of karbanos are asher ba'ana. The wine of an akum is compared to zivchei mesim, to offerings of karbanos. Just like offerings of karbanos are asher ba'achila and ba'ana, so to the wine of an oved kochavim is asher ba'achila and ba'hana. So stop over here. We'll pick up here Meretz Hashem tomorrow.